Hello and welcome to the Pink Hair Girl podcast. If you usually watch our knitting podcast, then this episode is going to be slightly different. There's not actually going to be any knitting at all. But we do hope that you'll stay and watch because we think that this is a really important message anyway.
Yeah.
We have been asked by Dove to be part of the No Likes Needed campaign, which focuses on positive self-image and the worrying trend that more and more amongst young girls, there's the need to be validated on social media to prove your own worth or to feel more worthwhile or to build your own self-esteem. And Dove has always wanted to promote beauty without anxiety, beauty with accepting your body for who you are and positive self-image and building the self-esteem of young girls. Rachel's 12. And we've been asked to kind of talk about some of these things that are happening on social media from our perspective. So, yeah. Rachel is at the starting point of where the research
starts.
Yeah. Where the sort of research age talks about sort of the pressure that girls are feeling. I think it's starting younger and younger. But from the stuff that we've read, it's sort of her from where she is now and getting increasingly older. They say that girls, there's a doubling in the negative or that social media could make somebody feel inadequate or bad about their bodies, that about 30% of children Rachel's age will say they've had a negative experience and felt their self-esteem damaged by something that they've seen on in an interaction that they've had on social media. Whereas by 18, that doubles up to about 60% of people that say that their self-esteem has been damaged by
social media.
So that's quite worrying, actually, that there is this enormous pressure on girls for an external validation, that you put up a picture. And so the No Likes Needed campaign is about finding, feeling beautiful within yourself and not needing to see how many likes you get on your pictures to feel good about yourself. What did the research say about how long did it take to get ready for a selfie?
12 minutes.
So it took, on average, the girls 12 minutes to get to pose and to get ready in the right filters and blah, blah, blah. 72% of young girls have had body shaming and negative comments on social media. Yet social media is becoming more and more part of our children's lives. You can't hide them from it. I mean, the solution is not to take your phone away and lock you in a cupboard. It's difficult as a parent. We want to protect them from these things. How do you feel that you're going into this day and age? It's never something I faced. You're going to have these challenges that I never had to deal with.
Well, I've been brought up with a positive body image all my life, so it's what I feel. I'm beautiful the way I am. And
you're a swimmer and you are a very slender person, but you are and have always been, and when you've noticed stuff about body shaming, you've always been that's always made you really angry.
Yes.
We passed a car with a bumper sticker that had sort of, no fat girls and a larger picture, the one they use on toilets, the little female picture, and it's sort of made larger and then sort of crossed out, whatever. Rachel's really mad. She's really, really upset by that. So I think have you come across, you're just at the starting age of this, and I think partly because you are at home, you're homeschooled, in some ways you might not have as much as some other people. We're quite careful with your social media accounts are private, and we're quite careful that you're not just anywhere in public interaction, especially because I think you're really young.
Yes.
As you get older, you are going to have more and more interactions. How do you think you will feel when people say something mean?
You just block them.
Yeah. But it's hard, even as an adult, when someone says something mean, even when you're an adult, it's hard not to let that kind of affect you, I've written articles and I've done various things online, and sometimes people have said really, really mean things. Like they say, never read the comments.
People say it because they're not to your personal face, so they don't feel any connection Almost like you're another computer somewhere.
So people are braver online, do you think? They
Yep.
say things they'd never say
Yes.
to your face, yeah. And I mean, the consequences of some of these things and body shaming and bullying and saying mean things online to people, the consequences are that it can really destroy someone's self-esteem. So,
Especially if you have a really not very proud of the way you look or anything like that.
in the light of this, as a parent, one can feel a little bit worried, like, about your future. Think if you're going to feel like double the pressure between your age and 18, that feels a bit scary. So we were looking at some of the things that were suggested, how do we deal with these issues, or how do we kind of make it better or whatever. And the one big thing was that to know, as you said, the difference between what real life is and what an online profile
Media
is.
is.
Yeah. And especially even someone that looks amazing on their Instagram account
Is not that amazing in real life.
or you can't be amazing all the time, because we all want to portray a certain online image of things being
If you
perfect.
take a selfie when you wake up in the morning, I bet you're not going to look very good.
Yeah, everybody looks the no makeup selfie challenge and things like that. You wake up in the morning. We all don't look good all the time. Yeah, so I think it's to realize that it's not real, and that people, as you say, will say things online that they would never say in real life, and it's not a portrayal of the real world, and you can't internalize that into your real
Life.
into your perception of yourself, and I think what is real is what one has to focus on, and that is the friendships and the meaningful relationships and the things that you do
Yes.
outside of social media. Where have you found meaning and purpose and things that make your life and you feel good about yourself?
My sports and all my friends and family.
And I think although a lot of your friendships and stuff, you might still use your phone to communicate with
A
them.
lot.
It's not normally on social media, it's more like WhatsApp, where you
Tap.
just have a conversation with somebody,
People.
where we can, where distance isn't so much of an issue, and you're more, especially when you're a homeschooled child, you don't see your friends all day when you're at, like you would at school. You have a different form of communication with them, and Rachel has friends all around the country and in different locations and stuff.
Yes.
So role models, like real people that are role models, I think is also important, because then you know that life is so much more than about beauty. Life is about
All
touching
these-
other lives.
yes.
And I mean, I remember you saying to me after we'd done some of our stuff at Red Cross,
Yes.
Rachel supports the Red Cross Burns unit, and you were saying to me after some of the instances where you'd got feedback about people that were really touched by the things that we'd
Yes.
done, you said, like, that is an amazing feeling, that makes it worthwhile, that is
Helping
what
people.
helping people. Yeah. So if you had to think of, what are some role models that you can think of, real life women that have inspired you?
Some of my most
Inspiring?
inspiring role models is the doctor from the Burns unit, Dr. Martinez,
Dr. Rue Martinez, yes, she's an amazing person. Yeah.
Kaylee Mycroft from the Kaylee campaign,
Because you've done the Youth Ambassadors
ambassadors
course.
course for
Yeah.
about 4 years
Yeah.
now.
Kaylee Mycroft has cerebral palsy, and she has just never let that stop her. She has just gone on to do, I think, lived life probably fuller than a lot of able-bodied people. She's done ballroom dancing. She's gone to world championships for that. She's climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. She's
Last year.
went to school. She's at university. She is, quite an inspirational person. Anyone else you can think of? No. Shame. That's very sweet. So the difficult bit is that your development, and it's perfectly natural from now on, is there is a stage where you start caring more about what your peers and people your age think than what I think, So
But
one
you're
of your
on all the social media platforms I'm on.
yeah, one of your friends' moms was saying how anything that she suggested, your friend wouldn't even be willing to try or even want to know what it was about because her mom had suggested it. So there is that stage where my opinion will be less important and the opinions of your friends will be more important, which I think is why it is so important to surround yourself by really good friends and really good role models. Because that's going to be so important when I'm less important. But I hope we'll carry on having a good relationship, an open relationship.
Yes.
I've always tried to say there's nothing that she can't tell me. And I'm very quick to say if I've made a mistake, because they need to know that it is easy enough for me to make mistakes as an adult. They are going to make mistakes. And if she has put up something and it's landed up being a bit of a disaster, or something's happened, or somebody said something mean, or she thinks she said something mean and could I help, that communication has always got to be there, that no matter what it is, even if I warned her not to get into the situation and she has, it is always better to come in and see if we can fix it together, because sometimes when you're in it, it's very like that saying, you can't see the wood for the trees, and sometimes you need the eagle, the mom above, to give you the bigger picture, because you're stuck so in the middle of something, which I think is why, if anything happens, I phone my parents. I still get advice from my parents and talk to my parents about a lot of things. So that's a lot of what we feel, and I think just creating that open listening. The last thing we wanted to close with was something we saw that really upset both of us, actually, when we were doing some research for this.
It's funny, though.
It is a bit. It actually should exactly what it should be. There is a hashtag called, and maybe we're a bit behind the times, because it apparently sort of exploded around. It just shows, I think, we don't follow people that kind of follow that sort of thing. But there's a hashtag called A4 waste, as in an A4 piece of paper.
This way round.
Vertical.
As your waist.
Yeah, and people hold that in front of their waist, and then that is kind of like a beauty standard that would show if you were thin enough. It's a bit like, what's that where you put your knees together and then you have to have a thigh gap or something. I can't remember. It's something like that. One of these kind of ludicrous standards that you then say whether, are you trying to see if you've got a thigh gap if you put your knees together?
I don't.
No, neither do I.
I'm a swimmer.
Yeah. So Rachel and I both have taken pictures, which we will put up on social media. But I reject your A4 waist standard, beauty within. And Rachel said, people who care about this are not worth your time. And so we've both kind of made a picture about that. I mean, it's me. Imagine your waist needing to be. And sadly, some of those pictures, those girls are so thin. I mean, the one girl looked positively anorexic, and for that to be held as a beauty standard is extremely sad, because eating disorders and all of those things are really difficult and really are having such an impact on people's lives. It shouldn't be made into a beauty standard. That's really quite upsetting. So for moms out there, I know this is scary, and I think perhaps it's scary for those that are starting out on this journey where there hasn't been a history of this before, as those of us that are standing in the wings trying to support our kids. But I think open communication, involving them in helping other people, I think for me is a huge thing. Getting kids involved in charity work and in meaningfully touching the lives of others helps them to have a slightly more outward focus than being completely self-absorbed as a teenager, because that happens, and it's good every now and again to stop and look at the world around you. And there are a lot of people that have real problems, and it's not how you looked on yourself, and it's not how many likes you got. So love yourself, accept yourself, and do good things in the world. Go out there and make a difference.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say?
Not really. We've covered everything.
I think we've covered everything. So we hope you've enjoyed our podcast. It's very different from usual. We'd love to hear your comments and to have a bit of a dialogue about it, either on the YouTube video or on the blog where I post this. So thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.